path. He lived off of stuff. It reminds me, have you ever heard of the Japanese survivor in Guam? Have you heard about that story?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Tell that story.
So from my understanding, during World War II, there was a crash in Guam and from a dogfight. And this Japanese pilot or guy who was in the plane went and hid in a cave up on a mountain in Guam. And he spent until like 2002 living in this cave, thinking that World War II was continuing, and he thought he had a better life living in a cave and living off of the jungle because Guam is like a hub for, I think, United or Delta, one of the major airlines. So all these planes are coming in and out every day, and he thinks it's World War II continuing.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's military bases and everything else in Guam. So
was it really 2002?
Jamie would have to look, but it was very recent.
Like the 80s or something. I didn't know it was like that's he must have been old as fuck.
Yeah, he was like in his 70s or so. I don't. I'm probably getting the date wrong.
We'll
but
find it. But
yeah,
still, that's so crazy.
But can you imagine?
How would you know? How would you know? And what if you fucked up and went in too early?
Right.
You know, and then it is still World War II, and they shoot you.
Exactly.
You just hang out for another year.
Yep. Just I'll spend a couple more days in the cave.
Oh my God. So what is
There's two stories actually. We'll go with this one first. Is the one you were talking about.
Okay, so this one...
97.
97.
Oh,
well,
died in 97.
He died in 97. Yeah. So years of service, 41 to 45. And then it says 1972, I guess.
Do you see that? 28 years of hiding in the jungles of Guam.
Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about there with 45. So they found him in 72.
I just saw a story this morning, which it's not new. It apparently was in 2013. There was a man... A man took his two sons after Vietnam came, and they were hid in the woods for 40 years.
Wow. Forced to live off rats and make loincloths out of tree bark. Man who spent 41 years living in the jungle after fleeing Vietnam War makes emotional return to his former home. 41 years. Look at the picture of him.
Social skills, obviously, and he didn't know what a woman was. He said
really?
His father didn't tell him what a woman was. They saw 5 people their whole life and hid from him in the woods when they saw him. This is according to what I read earlier today.
God.
Huh. Do you think...
Oh, my God.
Like, would you... If you're put into his position, is it worth living like
85?
His father was.
Oh.
Father 85.
I just looked at that really quick. I'm like, God damn, he looks great. Maybe that's how we're supposed to live.
Yeah, rat head was his favorite.
Rat head. Dude, well, who doesn't like a good rat head? Why is his haircut so good?
That's a good question.
This is bullshit.
I think this is after they found him and they took him back to take pictures and show. He was probably showing them what he was doing the whole time.
They redressed him. This is horseshit.
Look right here.
Yeah, they redressed him.
After
they redressed him in rags.
Yeah,
that's what he looked like
for the photos.
That's what he looked like when they found him?
That's a little better.
Yeah, that looks like a guy living in the woods. Wow. Rat head. He's eating rat heads. What does it say? His son was killed? What does it say?
I'm not sure.
One day his wife and two of his sons were killed by a mine explosion, putting him in a state of shock. He took his 2-year-old son and fled into the jungle, thereafter never having any contact with anyone else. The pair survived by foraging fruit and cassava from the forest and planting corn. They wore loincloths made of tree bark and lived in a timber hut raised 5 meters above the ground. Cassava is not the stuff that you need to boil and filter and strain.
No.
What am I thinking of? That's the other
probably
stuff.
Taro root.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, cassava is like a potato, basically.
Right. What is the one that like actually has strychnine in it? It's very common in the jungle of Central America and South America.
I think taro is what you're referring to because it's very starchy and basically inedible until you boil it down.
Is that what it is?
I think so. That doesn't sound familiar.
It doesn't sound right. Taro, I know what taro is. But taro, like, they make taro chips.
Yeah.
Like, you could eat taro chips. This stuff, they boil down. They turn it into like a meal.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Like smash it and do all kinds. I thought it was cassava.
Everything, like, when we've worked down in the Amazon and stuff, in the remote areas of the Amazon, everything's boiled. That's just how everything's like... Day 1, you're like, oh man, this fresh boiled piranha is so good. Day 13, you're like, please God, no boiled piranha for breakfast.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting we've gotten to this point as a society where we eat what we enjoy?
Right.
Instead of like what just keeps you alive.
Right.
I was with Steve Ranella once, and he caught a beaver, and we cooked the beaver. And one of the things that he cooked was the beaver tail. and he said that it was a staple amongst trappers.
Okay.
That they really like beaver tail because it was a good concentration of fat. It was a great source of fat.
I imagine it's just a big fatty tissue.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I bet.
But when you're dying of fat, like you need fat,
Right.
like you're starving.
Right.
Like fat is literally what you crave, then it becomes delicious.
Sure.
Like, then it's not a matter of, oh, I prefer fried chicken. Well,
Right.
I'm a pizza
Right.
guy myself. It's not. We eat based on our flavor preferences.
It is interesting because taste is so elemental to what we decide to do every single day. Oh, I like this, I like that. But that's not the point of food.
Right.
The point of food is nourishment, right? It's to keep your body strong and you continue to have energy. And yet we've completely abandoned that notion. In fact, so much so that we have the opposite problem where we're over-nourishing, at least with fats and oils and things like that constantly.
Yeah, if people could come from the past, back from those pioneer days, and see people today, they'd be like, "Oh my God, this is wild!"
They probably think
everyone's
it was great.
fat.
They probably because that was like a sign of being healthy back then and wealthy, right?
Yeah.
You could afford to be fat. They'd be like, "Wow, this is great."
Well, I don't know about healthy, but it was
No.
definitely a sign of wealth and the fact that you didn't have to work. And so, like when you look at those paintings from the Renaissance of those Rubenesque women, like that was attractive. Like we were psyched if you found a big fat lady.
Yeah, big old
like,
gal.
Yeah, that girl, she's eating good. That's what I like.
That's what I needed.
I don't like some skinny farmer lady. I like some royal lady who gets to just have fruit given to her while she lays down.